Good morning. My name is JB O'Neill, and I'm a rising freshman in college where, as he said, I'll be heading to Georgia Tech in the fall. And it is safe to say that I've grown up in this church. Just a word of warning, in my typical academic fashion, I procrastinated more than I should have on this assignment, but I hope you take something away from what I have to say. As I'm sure all of you have noticed, today's camp meeting is a time of singing, of fellowship, and a little bit of a relaxed dress code. Anytime our church has camp meeting, it is a special place in my heart because of an annual camp meeting my family attends in the fall. For over 200 years, Methodists have gathered at Indian Field Campground in St. George, South Carolina, to take part in a week-long revival. With 3 services a day inside a large open-air tabernacle and 99 cabins encircling the entire 10-acre plot, it is quite the event. With the tabernacle in the middle of the entire campground, it provides a sense of a shared religious experience. These cabins, or tents as we like to call them, aren't anything special. With electricity, running water for a sink, a structure made of wooden planks, and a ground floor covered in hay, it provides the basic necessities to stay for the week if you so choose, although without insulation the nights can get quite hot or cold depending on how the weather's feeling. However, the design wasn't made for comfort, but for community. With a porch opening up into the middle of the circle, people can sit and converse with neighbors. The dining table in every tent is always big enough to add a couple seats if you happen to make a new friend that day. I'm pretty sure the lack of air conditioning and the use of itchy hay encourages everyone to be outside, where you will find a never-ending game of football or grandparents congregating around various porches, catching up with people they had met in years prior. And finally, the sweet shop always brings people together with their delicious orange sherbets, kids and adults alike. But putting new relationships aside, the tents give you a place to grow in relationships you've had your entire life with your family. Every year, I see grandparents, aunts, uncles, even second, third, or fourth cousins sharing big Southern-style meals of fried chicken, hash and rice, butter beans, and banana pudding can work wonders on a family from South Carolina. For me, one constant in every camp meeting are my grandparents, Gammy and Pop-Pop. Pop-Pop and I have always had a close connection. Some say it's because his name is John Blanton O'Neill III, which is exactly my name except put a 5 on the end of it. Some say it's because he, along with my dad, had me out in the boat by 4 weeks old, where as soon as we got up to speed, I would fall asleep on his shoulder. Whatever the source, he has always been my rock, and I owe so much to him for his influence and example of what a man truly is. In saying this, he's also the source of my biggest test of faith. In the middle of 2021, we noticed that his mental state was in a serious decline. By April of 2022, it was assumed that he had onset of dementia due to symptoms like memory loss, confusion, and loss of bodily functions. However, in late July of 2022, an MRI showed a tumor in his skull. Although it was benign, so non-cancerous, the tumor was 6 centimeters. If you would like a rough estimate, ball up your fist, and that was what was pressing against his brain. He had a successful emergency surgery in the beginning of August, and we thought the worst was over since he immediately started to lose this cloud that had come over him for over a year now. But in September of 2022, the symptoms started to return. He would forget the names of his grandchildren or call us on the telephone and completely forget what he was calling about. We had seen this before, but it was developing at a much faster rate. Another MRI showed an infection had developed where the tumor once was. and in late September, he went under another surgery to remove it. This surgery required them to take out a part of his skull, making any fall or blow to the head extremely dangerous. Thankfully, no accidents happened during this time of increased risk, but it wasn't until January of this year, 2023, that they were able to put in an artificial plate. Unfortunately, the story doesn't end here. Only a month later, in February of 2023, they found that the tumor had started to grow back. They had not been able to remove all of it the first time around. Both my grandfather and the doctors agreed that, considering it was not serious, as in it was not even close to large enough to affect his brain, and still benign, so non-cancerous, another surgery could wait. He had been under enough anesthesia in the past 6 months to last 3 lifetimes and was ready for things to get back to normal. His condition has remained in extreme improvement since the 3rd surgery, where they put in the artificial plate, and he will be heading to Duke in October for another surgery. Throughout this entire journey, there were plenty of times where I simply thought, why, God? Why does he have to go through so much torment and suffering? Why do I have to sit here and watch him go through this, unable to do anything more than just hold his hand? His answer didn't come through a spectacle of gleaming light from the heavens, but through a multitude of people supporting me and my family throughout this journey. God built a community around me that could not have been more comforting and encouraging, always reminding me that his plan will occur, whatever it may be. Whether it was Pastor Ken visiting our hospital room every time we had to go back, and then stepping aside with me to make sure that I was okay too. Or Mr. David Budoff, who has taught me through some of the biggest issues of my life to the point where he's treated me like his own son. Or my family, who always makes sure that we're there for each other. Even Pop-Up himself, who, after all the hardship he's been through, took me fishing 7 times in 5 days when I was there a week and a half ago. It was just me and him out on the water, so long that I actually managed to catch my first striper. He has this upbeat attitude and hard-headed mindset from before any of this started, and I wouldn't have it any other way. This community of mine has been exactly what I needed to make it through these challenges. So, in the spirit of Camp Meeting, I want you to look at your own community, to try and see why God placed those in your life, those people in your life. Find ways to help those that you can. Sometimes all a person may need is to sit and have a conversation, and you have an opportunity in the LMR after the 11 o'clock service. The potluck is the perfect opportunity to welcome someone new or reconnect with someone you haven't seen in a while. The way to do this is to set yourself up like the tents at Indian Field Campground. Keep yourself open, welcoming anyone to the table, and always point toward God. Thank you.